The search for Flight 370 continues. Poor weather conditions on Tuesday caused the Royal Australian Air Force to call off search efforts for the missing jetliner, but the flights have now resumed. CCTV's Tony Cheng joins us from Perth with the latest details. Tony?
Thanks very much. Yes, we saw at about 5 a.m. local time a Chinese military flight taking off from here at Pearce, and there were seven others that are following throughout the day. We've got 5 civilian aircraft also taking part in that search, 12 altogether. The conditions are not perfect. They're a lot better than they were yesterday, but they all wanted to get out there as quickly as they could because we understand the stormy conditions will be returning later in the day. The big challenge is going to be to pick up where they left off on Monday. There were 2 promising sights from one of the Chinese aircraft and an Australian plane that saw debris out there in the area that they've identified as that most likely to be the scene of what's now being called the crash site for flight MH370. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the ships to examine that debris more closely. So they're going to try and get back to those areas, re-identify those bits of debris, look for more in that sea. But it's a massive area now, 80,000 square kilometers. So it's going to be very hard work. They say their chances are good, however, but they've probably at this stage only got a 12-hour window.
And Tony, you mentioned stormy conditions returning. I know there was a lot of concern about Cyclone Jillian, that it might hamper the search. Is that becoming less of a threat, or is that still a major concern?
The cyclone seems to have passed off further to the north, but I think what we're hearing is that there are, I mean, this is a very stormy area anyway. The weather is very unpredictable. It changes very quickly. We've just heard from one of the meteorological experts here in Perth who said that they've now got much better data with ships in the area and the planes that have been flying through. But they are still concerned that they won't be able to conduct an extensive search over the next couple of days, that those stormy fronts are going to come in later on today and could prohibit them going out tomorrow.
And Ryan Meltzer mentioned earlier in the broadcast that the search area for the missing plane has been narrowed down significantly, but how much is that really going to aid these search efforts, do you think?
Well, when you say narrowed down, it's been narrowed down from the whole of the Indian Ocean to a smaller part, but it's still 80,000 square kilometers. That's a huge area. In addition to which, you have to remember that that's 2,500 kilometers off the coast of Australia. So it's very difficult getting out there. They've got one Royal Australian Navy boat in the area at the moment. The Chinese icebreaker Shuilong is approaching, should be there later on today. Other ships are heading towards that area and again should be able to join the effort in the next couple of days. But it's very hard to operate. Communications are difficult. There are fast-moving currents. The debris that they have spotted from the air, they've tried to identify by dropping buoys with GPS receivers and transmitters inside them. But again, tracking those down is very complicated. So I think the logistical challenges are enormous. The area is enormous. They say they're going to do their absolute utmost, but at this stage, it's really looking for a needle in a haystack.
All right, Tony.